it'd been in my mind for best part of the summer, to be honest with you. And it was just trying to wait for the right opportunity. I wanted to try, and stay in the Premier League. That was quite important to me. But, location as well for a long-term sort of move was important at that time. But more the window went on and the way the market was, I knew Cardiff come about quite late, along with a couple other teams. But for just some reason, it just felt right to go to Cardiff. I made my mind up quite quickly after learning their interest, and from that point on, I was really looking forward to it.
How does it work in the modern day? Is it just all through your agent, or would somebody like Neil Warnock give you a call?
No, it was done through my agent. He just gave me a call and said, how do you feel about going to Cardiff on loan? I think Bournemouth are happy to let you go on loan for a season. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. It's that simple, to be honest with you.
So you didn't feel, oh well, let me talk to Warnock and let me see what the plans are, or where he wants to play me, any of that stuff. You kind of said, well, let's go for it.
Yeah, I watched Cardiff last year, and I thought the togetherness and the honesty from the manager, that was pretty obvious to see from the outset. And I thought it's the sort of club where I can probably bring my experiences with Bournemouth and share similar stories and similar experiences that I had there going to Cardiff, because I think being around the bush, most of the public and the pundits are writing us off this year and assuming we'll go down, and it was exactly the same when we got promoted with Bournemouth. So I feel like I'll be able to add a good experience in that sense to the team, and I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, not to put too blunt a point on it, but where did it kind of go wrong last season, if that's the right way of phrasing the question? It seemed like the first half of the year, just having a look back at the stats there before speaking to you, you were playing a good bit before Christmas, and then post-Christmas, first team opportunities seemed to dry up. Did anything in particular happen?
You know what, there was no sort of falling out or anything drastic, to be honest with you. It was a case of, the manager trying new players that had been waiting for a long time to get their opportunity. At that time, there wasn't any new players really that he'd brought in that took my place. And he just felt like the team needed a change in midfield, and it is a harsh business, football, when it comes to that side of it, because me and the manager have got a good bond, obviously, through what we've achieved, together, and as a club, I've achieved so much with them. And probably, I've probably dealt with that situation probably not as good as I would if I was in that position now. And then I picked up a couple of injuries, and then the season just, kind of finished for me quite early on, to be honest with you. And I'd say I was really looking forward to for the season to end, in all honesty, and just regroup and get fit and see where pre-season took me. Yeah,
when you say you might deal with that situation better now, how did you deal with it at the time?
Well, I just feel, my personality is quite a big one at Bournemouth, and I've never ever not played there, to be honest with you. I can count on one hand before this season how many times I've sat on the bench, and the manager and the lads, they were all thankful for my attitude towards the situation. I didn't let my frustrations lead into the team in a negative way, but just for myself, I was very unhappy in myself. I wasn't happy not playing. I'm someone that's, worked very hard to get to the Premier League, but if I'm not playing there, it doesn't make a difference to me that I'm in the Premier League. I've been used to playing League One. I've played in the non-league, and playing football is my everything. So, I found it hard to come away from football and be happy, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's just kind of miserable. And especially, big game on Saturday, everyone's training away Wednesday, Thursday, looking forward to the game, and deep down you're probably not going to be playing. That just takes 5% off you, I'd say, as well.
Yeah, and that's where, when I say if in the future, I'd probably deal with it a tad differently. You kind of get the sense if the lads, win on the weekend and you know you're not going to play the next weekend, and it was kind of a snowball effect of that for a while. The lads went on a really good run, and you kind of feel like, you know, you're not going to get a look in for a while now. And, you know, naively, that was probably my way of looking at it, because in football it can change, you know, in the blink of an eye. People suffer injuries and whatever. So, as I say, the manager was, you know, really complimentary of my attitude around the place, and so were the lads, because ultimately the lads that were playing in front of me were the ones that were watching me for the last 3-4 years, and they showed me that respect when I was playing, and I was more than determined to show that back to them.
Yeah.
But just, I know deep down, when I come away from football and leading up to the following week, if I knew I wasn't going to play, I found that quite difficult.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you have a relationship with Eddie Howe where you might go and knock on his door occasionally, say, look, is there anything I can do to get back in the team? Or do you kind of feel, well, look, there's no point doing that?
Yeah, initially it was, you know, kind of them sort of conversations, and then as the weeks go on, they end up becoming a bit repetitive. So you end up just coming away from the situation and just waiting, really. And that's probably what was doing my head in more than anything. And I looked at this season coming in. Obviously, we signed a new midfielder for, you know, a big chunk of money. So our manager not once has he ever said to me he wants me to go or you have to go, like I've heard in some situations at some clubs. There was no freezing out or anything silly like that. I played in all the pre-season games, and it was just a decision, you know, kind of on the day, to be honest with you. It was, I want to be involved, I want to be playing, and I can't afford to have another season like the one just gone. And I respect the manager's honesty. He couldn't promise that wasn't going to be the situation, and that's what made me make that decision. Yeah.
So I guess life gets a bit mad then and manic, and deadline day happens, you make the move, and it's up in sticks and everyone to Cardiff kind of thing?
On the day, it was literally just, you know, I drove from Bournemouth up to Cardiff. It was just by myself to do the medical, and you know, you're driving up. I was driving up on my own, and not for 1 minute did I ever think, you know, I'm not going to do this. But there was part of me that's thinking it's a shame to be leaving Bournemouth in this way. But then you understand that's how football works. As I said earlier, it is a harsh business in that sense. And I know for me, the number one thing in my life is, other than family, is football. So I'm just, as I say, honestly, very excited just to get the season going.
And I guess, it's clear from talking to you that breaking into that Cardiff first team is very much the aim. I'm not as familiar with the Cardiff team. Is there big competition there? Is it something you feel, if you play well, you'll be in the team?
Yeah, I think, you know, the manager's made some good signings in midfield. We signed a Spanish lad from, you know, Real Betis. Funny enough, played against him last week or the week before in a pre-season game, and he was probably the best player on the pitch that night. So added on top of that is the midfielders they've already got there. It's going to be, you know, a tough competition for places. But I feel confident that, you know, if I get given my chance, you know, I'll take it and hopefully play a big part in the season.
Yeah, I guess from afar we don't appreciate sometimes just how difficult it is and just how high the standard is. Because I saw a really brilliant quote from you last year, and you were talking about all the players who arrive in the Premier League. It's very much a global league now. And you were saying, you know, back in the past, I used to see top clubs paying big money to bring in foreign midfielders, and there was a thought in my mind that I could do as good a job as them if I got a chance at a big club. But then you said, but I've changed my mind on that now. He says, when you play against some of these guys, they are on a different level. There are some talented sportsmen in the world. Some are just born bigger and better than you might have been. Some of the guys you come up against in the Premier League are just massive physically and so gifted as well. Which is kind of just an insight into the level where, like, I mean, even just physically, someone like Paul Pogba, you're just like that. That is just a dogfight already that you're the lesser in.
Yeah, and you know, I still back that up now, because you look at some of the players that, you know, brought in, especially to the top 6 clubs, and there's some unbelievable players. But one thing I will say, that I don't think that is completely fair on the British and the Irish market. If you look at it, you know, this summer, it was really poor for English and Irish, and you know, the players that have been brought up in this sort of part of the world, it was quite poor, because you know, Wolves and Fulham, 2 clubs that stick out, that, they went crazy with their signings, and you kind of scratch your head and think, if it works, then, brilliant. But if it doesn't, then, why not give that chance, for the players that got you promoted, for example.
Yeah.
But no, I do agree. The money being spent on these players, they've been watched, I'm sure, for, months and months before these teams. So, I have no problem when players come in and, clubs spend massive amounts of money on them. If they feel that's going to improve, the club, and it will drive the other players onto the club, then, I'm all for that. So.
Yeah, so I guess, when the first couple of months when you played in the Premier League, I presume it felt very, very fast and very, very technical. To some extent, you just must be a bit more used to it now. Yeah,
I'll say the first, few games, especially against the top teams, you have more of an understanding next time you play against them that, when's the right time to sit off and when's the right time to press, because, one opportunity is, what these teams need really, especially the top 4 or 5. It's such a harsh league in that one mistake can lead to a goal, and that can ultimately make you lose the game. So, I'd like to feel like you learn that side of the game a lot better, and experience definitely helps with that.
Yeah. Last one, does Martin O'Neill come into your thinking when you're making a move like this? Is it the kind of thing where you ring an international manager and get some advice, or is it just kind of, look, it's sort of my own business, and we'll talk down the line whenever I see you in Irish camp?
I didn't speak to the manager, no, but I think it was, an obvious sort of decision for me. International wise, it was, if I'm not playing for Bournemouth or I wasn't given the opportunities that I'd hoped, based on the way last season went, and the manager made it quite clear that he can't afford to pick players that are not playing for months on end, and I was thankful for him in the summer to pick me for the summer games, because it was months before, months after my last game. So I personally feel if it got to the point where I hadn't played coming up to these games now, I wouldn't have expected to be in the squad, and probably he wouldn't have been able to physically put me in it anyway. I wouldn't have been ready physically or mentally to play in such a big game. So naturally, I feel international-wise, I made the right decision doing what I did.
Yeah, because you played in the Paris game, didn't you? You played against France?
I come on for 20 minutes against France and 10 minutes against USA, but I was struggling before. I met up with the camp. I had a bit of a calf injury, and there was a bit of confusion in not knowing I actually had the injury. The medical teams didn't pass the information on too well to the Irish medical team, so there was a bit of a confusion with that.
Right. I know it was just a friendly. Did you feel when you were looking at France that night or on the pitch against them that you were looking at, kind of world champions in waiting? Was there a big gulf, big difference? Anything jump out at you about that game?
Well, I think naturally when you look at just the team sheet, you know how much quality they had just with the names they had.
Yeah.
It being a warm-up game, then I'm sure they wasn't full throttle, but the way they controlled and dictated the game, you knew you was playing against top players.
Yeah.
To win a World Cup, you need more than that. They obviously had, a good bond between the group. It was. I was really impressed with France throughout. To be honest, the World Cup, even the first few games when they got, a bit criticised for the way they were playing. For them to come back the way they did and not let the media or anyone affect them. They're worthy winners of the World Cup. Yeah.
Listen, we'll let you go. Really good with your time. And, the Bournemouth period has been really successful for you on the whole, from League One through into Premier League level. So the very best of luck with Cardiff. We might check in once or twice across the season. Best of luck with things.
Tom, man, thank you very much.